5 months ago, in January, while many of us were preoccupied with exams, word about the virus started to spread. It was having its victims in Asia, but here in Europe, it was not much more than something you read about on the internet. 4 months ago, in February then, the virus became more and more of a topic of conversation in Europe. Some voices started to sound concerned. My friends, my fellow students and I, however, we didn't let it worry us. Why would we, European students, in general, relatively young, relatively healthy, and with good access to healthcare, be worried about some virus? Something like that would never affect our lives, right? Turns out we were wrong. I remember very distinctly at the end of February, I came home from an event and I heard that some of my Italian friends had to hurry to get home before the lockdown in Italy started. And after Italy, many countries followed. Traveling became impossible, international and local events had to be cancelled, universities had to move all of their classes online, and even something simple like meeting your friends was no longer possible. Our lives had changed drastically, and no one knew for how long it would last. Today, it has been more than 3 months since the World Health Organization declared the pandemic. Still, our lives are nowhere near what they were like before the pandemic started. Some of us have lost people. Some of us are afraid to visit our grandparents. We spend most of our lives in isolation. We miss our friends and we miss our freedom. Personally, I haven't been able to hug any of my friends since the beginning of this whole pandemic. My friends actually still owe me a birthday party. The strange situation that we are in today really makes the wonderful things that come out of it even more special. The silver lining to this pandemic is the resourcefulness that our international community has showed when faced with the cancellation of events. And it is the dedication of all these young people to deliver development opportunities for others in times of isolation. Initiatives like this Best Virtual Summit really show the adaptability and the flexibility, to say it with one of Best's values, of young people in times of crisis. This event encourages everyone, and young people in particular, to really think about what we find important and to think about how we can achieve what we find important. We hope that this Best Virtual Summit can help you to discover how our reality has changed. And most of all, that it can help you to discover what the opportunities lie in front of us. I would like to conclude this very small welcome by formally welcoming all of you to the first ever Best Virtual Summit. It is truly inspiring to see what our volunteers have realized in this short time period. And I believe that you will have a great time discovering what we have in store for you. I will now ask Senna Patricia Meusen, our president, to take the virtual floor to tell us about what Best has achieved during this pandemic, and also about the environment in which this event came to be. Senna, could you please tell us more about what Best has been doing the last months?
Thank you, Johannes. Hi, everyone. I am Senna, current president of Best. In Best, we value flexibility. We believe that everyone, especially young people, need to be willing and able to adapt to change in their environment. Over the past years, we have seen such changes in social, political, economic, and natural environment all happening faster and faster. So much has changed in the past few decades that not all of our systems could keep up. This prompted young people all around the world to start stepping up, to take action, to prepare themselves for our shared future. There's been a massive and a beautiful rise in youth engagement in all aspects of society, going from creating our own opportunities to exchange ideas, to collaborating with industry and educators for improved curricula, to advocating for solutions to global issues such as gender or racial inequality and climate change. Youth all over the world decided to take charge of their own future. In many ways, this was actually going quite well. More and more young people gained a voice and, more importantly, gained a seat around the table as industry, institutions, and governments became more and more inclined and welcoming for dialogue with young people. Many have even been actively supporting youth causes, as can be seen by the many fantastic speakers that we're having in this summit. With this ever-changing world, obviously came ever-changing challenges. However, when it came to youth engagement, things seemed to be going in the right direction. Then 2020 started. It seemed like the world was telling us, you thought everything was changing fast, I'll show you fast. And our whole society came to a grinding halt amidst the COVID-19 situation. The situation seemed quite bleak, and no one really knew what to do. I was actually attending a conference, the European Association Summit, in March, one day before the World Health Organization announced a pandemic. And even though this summit was supposed to focus all on change management and the need for change, I don't think anyone expected this need to be so crucial. And it was very clear that everyone was kind of lost. However, after the initial shock, one thing became very clear. This would be the greatest test that our generation has faced in the terms of flexibility and the capacity and willingness to adapt to change. So far, I do think we're passing the test. Seeing what the volunteers of BEST have been achieving over the past months has made me be as proud as ever of the organization that I am part of. The first big obstacle we all had to face was the isolation. We in BEST, we rely a lot on our live meetings to work, to develop ourselves, and to interact with different cultures and with different people. When this became impossible, within days, our training community set up so-called Tigro Quarantine, which was a set of training sessions that took place online. Within a month, 75 trainers provided training sessions, over 120 training sessions to almost 500 participants, still covering Besties' needs for extracurricular development. To combat social isolation, a dedicated team led by one of the international boardies set up a whole new online platform for social interaction where hundreds of Besties spend hours playing games, chatting, and joking around, still sticking together during these challenging times. While the pandemic kept lasting longer and longer, we kept adapting. We started finding ways to not just cover our own personal needs, but also to continue working for the purpose of the organization and for the interest of young people in the field of STEM. We fully transferred first our online working starting with regional meetings and our General Assembly, where we usually reflect on our activities and think about our future. They took place through hundreds of Zoom meetings in the whole months of April and May, where we still had at least as much interest and engagement as usual. Then a team started working on new formats for our BEST courses so they can still take place in summer or after summer, either in online formats or in local, more safe environments. On top of that, people have been working on online competitions, on online career opportunities, all types of online replacements for the things we've been doing. All over the network, we adapted. This happened starting from individuals starting discussions to full local groups creating new services to where we are right now, to the BEST Virtual Summit, where hundreds of students will be interacting with dozens of leaders in industry and institutions and other associations. When I started my term as president 1 year ago, I thought this is going to be challenging and that BEST would need to evolve in the current society. When 4 months ago the situation started, I was worried, honestly. I wasn't sure, are we up for this challenge? Right now, I can proudly say that we were. I can proudly say that we were up for the challenge that we have faced so far, and I strongly believe that we still are up for the challenges we will still be facing. This situation isn't going to be over soon, and its effect will be felt for a while, but we as BEST and young people in general all around the world will continue to adapt, continue to be flexible, and continue to thrive in a changed world. I want to thank everyone who's been working for BEST and everyone who supported us, and obviously also everyone who is now with us here. Thank you for everything you've done, and I hope to see you around during the rest of the summit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Senna, for these very inspiring words and for sharing what BEST has been doing lately. Now I'd like to introduce Walid Saad, coordinator of the BEST Virtual Summit and treasurer of BEST. Walid, could you please tell us a bit more about the BEST Virtual Summit and its purpose?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Johannes, and thank you, Senna, for showing how the pandemic impacted BEST as an organization. Pandemics are generally events that impact the whole world significantly. They have major consequences, social and economic, but we also view that pandemics are an opportunity and the permission to change and the permission to do things differently and to do different things, and perhaps have a fresher restart. And a fresher start that is more inclusive and more open to have everyone contributing and saying their words. And that's at the very heart of why we created BEST Virtual Summit. It is meant to be not only yet another online conference with speakers, but it's meant to be mostly a restarting platform, a platform that is more inclusive and more encouraging of conversations and inspiring of actions. Throughout the 7 days, we have designed interactions that will involve 54 speakers coming from leading institutions and companies and thought leaders. They will be sharing insightful keynotes, discussion panels, and we also have designed some more intimate type of sessions, workshops and training sessions that are aiming to have an experience with a smaller group of people to maximize the impact and the transformational experience. Not only that, we also designed in BEST Virtual Summit networking moments. We believe that networking is important for the beginning of collaborations. That's why on Wednesday, we are gonna have the informal business networking, where you, the attendee of the summit, whether you are a student, young professional, an expert, can come together and safely shake hands virtually and get to know each other, and perhaps starting a conversation about how we can cooperate together. We believe that all these sessions need to lead to action beyond the pandemic. That's why we designed also the last day to be the action day. We have designed a case study with our partners Atos. It will have prizes, by the way, in which you are all encouraged to form small teams and participate to solve one of the challenges connected to the pandemic. Now, if you are watching this, I urge you to not only join the sessions and listen to them, but to have your say, to participate, to debate the views that you are listening to, and to bring your own views. That's why we believe that BEST Virtual Summit can have a major impact. That being said, I hope that you will find some of the sessions useful, and I hope that you will start spreading the word about it and start taking actions. And looking forward to see you in the summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Walid, for explaining us the purpose of the BEST Virtual Summit. Our next speaker will be Daniel Garcia, who is the speakers responsible for the BEST Virtual Summit and the Next Educational Involvement Department Coordinator of BEST. Daniel, could you explain to us why we are talking about education beyond the pandemic during the next 2 days?
Okay, thank you, Johannes. Basically, the easy answer is because this is one of the services that the organization is the Education Involvement Service. But like the real answer is that the education of today will shape the future. It is something that definitely worth talking, discussing, and learning about. But you may be wondering, what is actually this topic all about? We actually want to explore how the pandemic has impacted current education systems. We have seen how universities moved to online learning and assessment in just a few weeks, and how they have changed the way they do things to adapt to the new situation. We want to understand, by listening to experts, what are the challenges that education is facing, but also what opportunities the crisis is going to open. On the one hand, we want to bring to our audience, European students, some of the forecasts and analysis of what's going to happen from now on. But on the other hand, we also want to share some successful examples provided by education experts and spread to Europe that there are actually many inspiring ways to learn.
Thank you for explaining us about why we will be talking about education. But can you also tell us why it is important for young people to be engaged in this topic?
All right, so well, we young people are going to face the future, right? And if we want a future worth living, we need to fight for it. I'm sure that many of the students that are watching us have felt at some point a bit disengaged with the education they are receiving. The key is, it doesn't need to be that way. If you would like things to be different, you need to have your say and take a role in the change. We in BEST are taking part in pushing for a change in our cycle of influence by making students' voice be heard by relevant stakeholders. But imagine what we could do if every one of us could ask for a new education model in our own universities. All in all, as well as we need to fight for a green future and push to slow down climate change, we need to take a close look at the education of today, as it is going to shape the societies of tomorrow.
Thank you, Danielle, for these inspiring words. I guess our audience also wants to know what exactly is going to happen during the next 2 days. Can you maybe quickly take us through the schedule and tell us about what will happen?
All right, let's brief a bit what we'll be talking about during today and tomorrow. So at 3:30 p.m. Brussels time, today, we'll have our first block of keynotes under the topic of the future of education. With this session, we want to explore what is going to happen from now on in the field of education with both European and worldwide. We will have 4 key speakers: Sarah Springman, Director of ETH Zurich; Noah W. Sock, the Project Officer of UNESCO Futures of Education Initiative; Alfredo Soeiro, who is the Executive Board of the European Distance and E-Learning Network; and Ramiro Jordan, who is the President of the International Federation of Engineering Education Societies. Later, at 6 p.m. Brussels time, we will have our first panel discussion about European universities beyond the pandemic, in which we will understand how universities are dealing with the crisis and what is next for them. We will have with us the expert Frank Yellen from EIT InnoEnergy, Fredrik Groxo from our partner CEFI, and Alfredo Soeiro from our advisory board. Finally, at 9 p.m., we will have the first edition of the BBS podcast, named Best and Educational Involvement, where 5 coordinators of BEST will explore how the education service has evolved and what we have achieved in these almost 24 years. On Tuesday, we will have a keynote marathon from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Brussels time, or Central European Summer Time, in which we want to show examples of innovation in education. We will gather key speakers, such as Jakob, the Vice Dean for Education of Aalborg University; Dennis, Head of the Students Department of Skoltech; Gillian, Board of Directors of CEFI and Professor at TU Delft. We'll have also Emanuela Tilley, Director of the Integrated Engineering Program at University College London; Ana Gabriela Anadria, Learning Guides at LearnLife; Philippe Antoine, Developer Relations at Google; and Clara Covesi, again, Board of Directors of CEFI and also Professor at ENSTAR Bretagne. Later, at 6 p.m., we will have our 2 first workshops, powered by Mirna Smith, who is trainer at Happiness Academy, and our best soft skill trainer, Gregana and Sonia. If you would like to attend any of these workshops, please make sure you apply in the website. Finally, at 9 p.m., we will have the second edition of the BBS podcast series named Best and Complementary Education, in which 3 leaders of BEST will share their insights of the service and review the key achievements. We really hope you enjoyed the block of education, and stay tuned because we're starting really soon.
All right. Thank you, Danielle, for explaining what will happen during the next 2 days. We've got some very interesting sessions in Better For You, and we hope that you will join us. With Danielle, we've had our last speaker for this opening block. I'd like to welcome you one final time to this event, and we look forward to discussing the future with all of you. The next session, Danielle was talking about it, the block of keynotes, will be starting at 3:30 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there.